Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. I wanted to create a quick video just explaining the value of using work trees and kind of how they work and what they are and why you should use them and what the best practices are that I've found over the last maybe 6 months with them or something like that. So anyway, let's jump into this example here. You can use Git Worktrees with many different tools. A Git Worktree is just a command in Git. It's not special to use this specific tool, but I built this tool, so that's the one I'm going to demo this in, obviously. Okay, so let's open up this project that I have. This is just a little side project for writing stories and being able to convert those stories into AI videos. So let's get started with an example. So I'm out here with my main branch. This is a terminal. So what's the point of a work tree, right? Well, so the main thing is when you have a Git branch, you can only have one Git branch checked out at a time, right? So you can't be working on two features at once. You can't be testing code from one while you're working on another, even with AI, right? So the problem is it's only allowing one set of files and changes to be visible in the directory that you are working out of at a time. So enter Git Worktrees, and that lets you work on many different branches at once. And it does that by literally just copying the entire repository into a folder. So I'll show you that here with my example project. So here, why don't I actually spin this up? I'll start the server here. Okay, so we've got my little side project up here with a story. So let's say we want to add a feature, and you can see this just has like stuff for creating scenes. This doesn't matter, right? Let's just go back. Let's say we want to create some features here. Let's say we want to add an inbox. So this is how I use it in this tool, but you could have done this with just like any old, create work tree command in Git, in a terminal, in iTerm, and any of the other tools that do this. Okay, so now we've got a second branch checked out now, right? This is main on draft frame, and this is inbox. And you can see it's changing the files over here, right? So we can switch both of these things. And in main, we can now see work trees, and here's my inbox work tree, and it has the exact same files, right? And so I can have many work trees open at the same time. So maybe now we also want, let's say, customer support. And now we've got a work tree for that. So if we hop back over to main here, you can see now we've got two different work trees, right? Two different branches. So the files are literally copied over twice. So you can be testing, reviewing work trees, reviewing PRs, doing all of these things without needing to, check out one branch, go to the other branch. Anyway, so this is all fine and dandy, but how do you have the mental capacity to actually manage all of these at once? Frankly, that's too complex, at least for me. I wouldn't have the ability to just, talk to all these different agents at the same time. So how do we make this scale? And I think the best way to be thinking about this is imagine your agents are people on your team, not just Claude conversations. And so if you were going to say, okay, I want to add a lot of features to this product all in parallel, how would I do that? And so let's get started with an example. So we're adding the inbox, the customer support thing. These things don't overlap, right? In terms of feature development, I'm trying to think about different things. So I could also say, let's add a calendar. No, let's actually add groups for, we'll just say groups. Groups for collaborating on stories, right? And so now what we're going to do is, let's say we have these three features: inbox, customer support, and groups. And so I'm going to use a plugin. And so let me just show this. So let's check out Compound Engineering. So I'm not associated with this plugin, but I do love it. So this is just a planning plugin. There's a lot of these like GSD and Obra Superpowers. I'm a big fan of this one. This creates just a ton of process and rigor around agentic coding. So to give you an example here, let's say CE, which is the Compound Engineering plugin, and we're going to say brainstorm. And I'm going to say, let's come up with a feature for allowing group collaboration on a story where people vote up the best section, something like that, right? And so now this brainstorm is going to review the code base and then it's going to ask me a bunch of questions. But this could take a while. This is a very tiny code base, so it won't, but it could take a while. So now while this is happening, now is the time for me to do other work, right? So now I can come over here and I can say CE brainstorm. Let's build a ticket system for customer support. We wouldn't do this. We'd probably just integrate with Zendesk. But in either case, we could just do this, hit enter, and now this is going to start thinking. Now we're going to say CE brainstorm. Let's build an inbox feature. So users can share stories. I'm basically writing user stories here, right? Or epics, I guess. I don't know. So in either case, I have these three things happening now. And you can see this one needs attention and this one doesn't. My job all of a sudden becomes just enabling these agents to work, right? It's almost like I'm a manager just enabling my engineers to do their job. So you can see the brainstorm is just going to ask me more questions. Who is this ticket system for? Where does it live? It's going to try to write the product spec. So we'll say end user widget, and we'll just keep going through these. And you can see, I'm waiting again. So I could start up another work tree and another work tree. I've had as many as, 8 to 12 work trees at the same time. It's very draining, but you can see the value in when you're just waiting for AI, you can kind of do more. So let's imagine you've done all these things. The next step of this that compound engineering does is it's going to come up with a technical plan, right? So it'll create a brainstorm document, which is basically like a product spec. And then it's going to come up with this technical plan document, which is like a software design document, like an SDD. And then it'll implement the work for you. And then you do a code review, which is like 9 different agents doing a highly technical review of your code. And basically your whole job becomes responding to prompts and then also testing the work that they're doing, right? So we'll say we want all of these things. So we're testing all of the work that all of these AIs are doing while responding to their prompts. And then only once things are totally working, we review their code at the end, right? After they've created a PR that we can review, that's when we go into the code and we say, okay, this looks good. Just like if it was any other person on your team, you're not reviewing their code throughout. You're going to review their PR once they've tested it and you know that it's working. So as their manager, these are people who can't test their own code. That's what you get to do. So, I've found that this has been hugely, hugely valuable for me to be able to just quickly hop between work trees. And you can see how you can quickly just start managing many, many things at once. So I find using something like compound engineering or GSV, et cetera, it really gives you the ability to create a repeatable process to consistently generate high quality output. And remember, AI is not intelligence, it's a skill, right? So how I'm directing these things, I'm not writing prompts that are this flimsy when it's, my actual work. But you can see how all of a sudden you can do many, many things in parallel. And it's basically like cloning yourself in your own process. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this or maybe learned something. And that's